Hello, everyone. This is Felicia Bender, the Practical Numerologist. What we are talking about today is your first name. So, there is something in a name. We all know this, right? And yet, numerologically speaking, there's a lot in your name. So, we are going to do little bites here. And this video is all about what your first name brings to you through, and you can have that understanding through the wisdom and the window of numerology. So, we're going to look at how to understand the basic numerology of your first name. Okay, so we are using Pythagorean numerology. That is the numerology that I am teaching you right now. So there are different numerologies, but that is what we are looking at today. So we're always going to start with the full name as it appears on your birth certificate. Okay, I'll talk a little bit about our current name. And yet, in Pythagorean numerology, that is what we're always going to use as the foundational energy for your pathway and for your purpose in life. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to translate each letter in the alphabet to a numerical value. So this is how it is going to run for us, and we're going to explore here. And so get your pen, get your paper, get your phone out, something so that you can do your math. All right. And I'm going to emphasize here that the birth name is the foundational energetic matrix that you've come in to work with. So even if it's spelled in a way that you don't spell it, so let me back up. On your birth certificate, if you know what that is, if you have seen it and you go, ooh, that's weird. I always thought my name was Sarah, Sarah, but here on my birth certificate it says Sarah, Sara. So in numerology, we would use that original spelling on the birth certificate. We would, of course, talk about the other spellings, but it usually has a little bit of significance also when we have misspellings, when we have name changes, when we have adoptions, when we have all that kind of stuff. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole right this second. And yet I did want to bring that into your awareness. All right. So the original birth name is what we are looking at. So here is the chart basically about how you are going to transcribe letters into numbers. You can jot this down. You could pause this video. You could do whatever you want to do. Take a screenshot. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then kind of like an old typewriter, we go back, right? We go back to it. So if you have an A, a J, or an S, that is a number 1. A number 2 is a B, a K, a T, and so on. So you can see this visually here. Again, pause it if you need to. And I hope you are putting your name down and beginning to correlate the letters with the numbers right now. All right. So again, first name, we will have other videos in which we are describing what the middle name signifies, what the last name signifies. For this video, we're talking only about the first name. So what does it mean? What does it bring to us? What can it show us about our pathway, our purpose, our personality, our values, our characteristics? So in numerology, the first name, it is called the growth number. It is basically it's representative of your point of self-actualization. Your first name represents that. It is about, it can tell you or represent to you how you think, how you take action, your behavioral patterns overall. What are your default behaviors, right? It's always funny. I always think about people who their default behavior is is that they didn't do anything wrong and it's defensive. And then there are other people whose default behavior is, what did I do wrong? Even when they're just walking in a room, right? So it's interesting to look at behavioral patterns, behavioral default mechanisms. Where does that reside? So this can really give you a good indicator of that. And it will indicate how you interpret and filter your experiences overall. So let's use a few examples here, okay? So we're going to look at the name James. If we look back at that chart, I'm not going to beleaguer it here, so I'm trusting I'm trusting that you'll trust me here. So J is a 1, an A is a 1, the M is a 4, an E is a 5, and an S is a 1. If we add that all together, we get 12. In numerology, we are always going to be reducing to a one-digit number, okay? And there are some, well, I don't want to say exceptions. There are master numbers, there are other number formulations that have some significance, but on the very basic level, we are always going to reduce down to a one digit. So we're going to keep adding right now. So we're taking the 12 and we are adding the 1 plus the 2, and we get 3. 3 is a one digit number. So James, if your name is James, or if you know someone whose name is James, their first name is a 3 in numerology. So we're going to talk about what that might mean, okay? But it's a 3. So just to use these examples. Now, you say, well, my name is James on my birth certificate, but I've always gone by Jim. So in this case, it's always going to be good to look at it. It's always fun. It's always a curiosity. James is going to take precedence. And yet, Jim is also something that you might want to know about. So, if you take Jim, it's 1 plus 9 plus 4. That is 14. 1 plus 4 equals 5. So, Jim is a number 5. It's interesting to think about James as a 3, Jim as a 5. The 3 and the 5 numerologically have very similar vibes, very vibrant, very very action oriented in terms of creative and doing and scattered and all of that. And so there's a very similar aspect to the two of those, although there are very significant differences. Also, what I would say is a little bit of a sidebar, not to complicate things, and yet the 14 in numerology signifies a karmic debt number. There are 4 of those in numerology: the 13, the 14, the 16, and the 19. They also have some added significance. And yet, for our purposes here, we're just going to look at it as a 5. So Jim is a number 5. Let's go on at just 2 more. So we're going to look at Michael. Okay. You can see the math here, and we get to 33. So 33 is a master number. So if your name is Michael, you have a master number there. You have that energy of the master number. It's a 33, or you could consider it that 33/6. All right. So we'll do one more. We'll do Taylor. Okay. So if your name is Taylor, you can see the math here. We get 28. 2 plus 8 is 10. This can be a little tricky because someone's like, well, I'm a 10. And what does that mean? Well, it means you need to keep reducing. So 1 plus 0 equals 1. And so Taylor has the resonance of a number 1. So now let's look and put it all together here. I've got a little infographic here where you've got the letter values over here on the side. We've got to remind you that the first name is the growth number. It is your point of your most significant levels of growth in this lifetime. It is your point of self-actualization. So this is really going to indicate how you think, how you take action, what your default mechanism is, right? Just like what I was talking about. Some people are procrastinators, right? And some people are impulsive. Some people are fearful, and some people don't have no fear, right? So it's, what is our default mechanism? How do we take that action or not? What are our default behavioral patterns? And how do you actually interpret and filter your experiences? You know, a lot of people who I'm always making, lemonade out of lemons sort of people. And, the people who have everything in one, they stub their toe and it's the worst thing that ever happened. in the universe, right? So how do we filter? How do we perceive our experiences? What is that? What is the basic mode of mode of operation that we have? So this is, again, I try to reduce each number in numerology to 2 words, and hope you're feeling sorry for me right now. But I'm attempting to make it as succinct as possible. What I will ask for you to do is, if this is interesting to you, to very much. I have several books, especially my last book. I'm not huge into self promotion, and yet we really go into this very, very definitively in terms of the expansiveness of what the defining qualities are for each of the numbers. So you can look it up on the Amazon, look it up on my website. It is the ultimate guide to practical numerology, mapping your path and purpose. So you can get a lot more detailed information there. So let's say that the first name, didn't we? No, that wasn't Taylor. Taylor was a one. I was like, was that James? No, it was Taylor. It's all about assertion, independence. Even if we look at Taylor Swift, a popular Taylor at the moment in our nomenclature in our world, and certainly she thrives with this sense of assertion, with this aura of leadership, of independence, and of standing up and standing in front of, right? So she has that one energy about her. The 2 is about relationships. It's about intuition, sensitivity. The 3, words and creativity. Isn't James? James is a 3, if I remember correctly, all about words, creativity, communication, emotional sensitivity. All of those things are the way that the 3 organizes, the way that they position themselves in the world. The 4 is about control, a little bit of trepidation maybe there, and security. The 5 is responsible freedom. The 6 is love and acceptance. The 7, spiritual wisdom and trust. The 8 is all about money and power, all about the material world. The 9 is compassion and forgiveness. It's also very creative, very charismatic energy, very humanitarian. The 11 is the spiritual channel. It's spiritual truth. It's balance. The 22, what I would also say is the 1 is innovation as well. The 22 is practical spirituality, and the 33 is unconditional love. So I hope that this helps you. I hope that you've learned something about yourself with your first name. Check in on the other videos where you can learn about your middle name and about your last name.